It's like, just get them done.
2 seconds. And send that to your document.
Yes.
Send that.
Okay. Okay, that's it, yeah.
But that's gonna be tough depending on how.
I know. They're gonna be.
3 minutes, I think,
Okay,
but yeah, I really have what they're doing.
That's good.
So they're leading. I guess.
Oh, okay.
After I take them back, Allie's running the meeting and.
Good evening, everyone. We will formally call this special meeting of the Parks and Harbor Committee to order. And on behalf of Mayor Theros, who had to leave town yesterday after our city council meeting, my name is John Galooly. I'm on city council. I'm fortunate to chair the Parks and Harbor Committee for the past several years. And we are delighted that everyone here, we expected a full house. We have a full house and we've got a great number of people online watching as well. This is a process, as we like to say in the city, and we've made a very, very good attempt, I think, in the past several years. Whenever we're rolling out projects like the new playscape that went in a few years ago, or the pickleball courts, or the project at Core, where residents, does anyone here live on Core? By chance, and I'll run right now. We've whether it's swim team issues or things, we've made a real attempt on part of administration and city council, and particularly this committee, to have public outreach. We think public outreach is absolutely critical. This is one of the final stages in our outreach with regard to our proposed new aquatic center. And I want to take just a minute to introduce to you several people who are here today from city council. And I don't want to say, but more importantly, because this is their night, the Parks and Harbor Committee and the Pool Committee. We've had several meetings. A lot of people have given many, many, many hours of their time in meetings after work with us. After we've met as administration to go over these plans, to fine tune it. We've heard from a lot of people, but tonight's your night. It's our night to present to you. We're excited about that. So first, I'll recognize our Director of Parks and Recreation, Chris Galatas, is in the light blue shirt here, who's been instrumental. He's great, and I hope, as we all do, that you enjoy coming to the park each and every day. It's getting better. The numbers are higher than ever in terms of attendance each and every day, and we love it. Ms. Alexandra Horst is on the Parks and Harbor Committee. She is our recording secretary today. We're operating loosely under the Open Meetings Act. So one of the things we're going to ask you to do when you come up for public comment, as we're required under state laws to take minutes, to please give your name and address before you address us, as we have to keep track of those, and we have to have a formal session for public comment from all of you. Also here tonight, I know Mayor Pro Tem Beth Conrad Wilberding is here. City Council Person Joe Ritchie is here. Is there anyone else from City Council here? I didn't see. I don't think so. Dan Jensen, our former Director of Public Safety, is here, who will be on City Council in several months. And for the Pool Committee, John Austin. John, can everyone just real quick is here? It's been on for a while. Bridget Christian, I'm sure, is here somewhere. She's not. She's been instrumental. She's also on the Farms Foundation. Jim Farquhar, our former mayor, is here. He's on the Pool Committee. Thank you, Jim. Tony Gatliff is here in the back. Thank you, Tony. Alexandra Dean signed. Here, Dean. Dean's on our committee as well. It's been a great help. I know Rich Smith is here. He's on the foundation and the boat club and our committee. And Tom, are you here? Tom Smith? Who is here from the pool committee? I want to read the names as well. Mike Ottaway, Mike is on the pool committee. He's at the helm of our foundation. He runs he's the president of Farms Foundation. They're one of the sources of revenue for these projects. And as you read in the Grosse Pointe News and in other publications, we have the best foundation, I think, by a long shot. And we appreciate everything that you and your foundation do. And of course, we have a big event, September 18, I believe, here at the park, that will go a long way and help us fund this project, or a short way to help us fund, but we need everybody here for that. Ryan, are you here from the foundation? Michelle Crandall, citizens at large. We had a number of citizens on the pool committee, made up of swimmers, competitive swimmers, literally nationally recognized collegiate swimmers as well. Lauren Cooper, Tom Mertz, Joanne Blackford, Rich Smith, we mentioned Sheila Fredericks, and Todd Briggs, who's Judge Todd Briggs from Wayne County Circuit Court. So keep a couple of things in mind before I pass it off to our great leader administratively. This is not a done deal yet by any stretch of the imagination. We think the plans are very close to being finalized, but we don't finalize anything until we have the input of each of you who would like to give us input. And we don't finalize until Chris Blake, you'll be introduced to him, and landscape I'm sorry. Our landscape designers are here as well. We don't finalize everything. There's still some things we need to work out, funding's at issue, things of that nature. But we're excited to have you here. We welcome your comments today. If you don't feel like public speaking today, please send us an email, make a phone call to the park. We're happy to hear your concerns. We're happy to try to accommodate as many of the wish lists, so to speak, as we can for what I think you'll see is a very, very exciting new project without compromising, as we did for pickleball, without compromising the lake views, without compromising the beach, without compromising other areas. It'll be a complete redo, but I introduce to you now, I hope you know him. We think we have the best city manager around. And I represent municipalities for a living, Shane Reside. Thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you, John, and thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate everybody who's been involved, and we've had a lot of feedback, not only from the pool committee, from our Parks and Harbor committee, but a lot of you in the audience, residents who've just kind of have expressed interest and want to be part of the process. So appreciate you being here tonight. A lot has happened in this park over the last 25 years. We've really had quite a transformation. This building expanded harbor. We added a refrigerated winter ice rink. We then added a warming, cooling building to facilitate skating, tennis, paddle tennis, and now pickleball. And as John mentioned too, we recently had a new playscape added to the park a couple of years ago. But really, I think the hallmark of the park and the area that's been the least touched has been the whole aquatic area, the pool area. The pool was built in the 1960s, the mid-60s, and at the same time as the bathhouse. And except for a little facelift that we did on the bathhouse in the mid-90s, that pool infrastructure is essentially the same. About 25 years ago, we did upgrade, and we did the top pool and added a splash pad, which that was 25 years ago. And frankly, there are currently issues with those facilities. So this is really an opportune time to take advantage, really, the last part of our park, an essential part of our park. The committee has been awesome, and they have really looked at everything. They looked at how the park, the aquatic area has been used in the past. How is it currently used? How do we anticipate it will be used in the future? And part of that is looking at our demographics. Our population of Grosse Pointe Farms is around 10,000 people. And our SEMCOG, Southeastern Michigan Council of Government, predicts that that population will remain pretty stable over the next 30 years. And what has changed, though, like me and some of you in this room, we've gotten a little bit older, and as a population, the Grosse Pointes are getting older. We're seeing a lot more active seniors in our community and the needs for active seniors. But we're also seeing young families moving. And so we're seeing, again, some influx in the school system of younger families move in and taking into the consideration those needs. So looking at all that and looking at all those needs, the pool committee came up with, I think, some 4 recommendations for the aquatic facility that I just want to touch upon. And these are kind of main ones, but there's other priorities that are included, and we want to hear your priorities as well. But in terms of a competitive pool, there's a desire for proper 25-meter lanes. Currently, the swim lanes are actually longer than regulation. They're just a bit beyond 25 meters. So we have to actually subtract time from meet times when we have our swim meets. We want deeper water for the starting block so people can dive in, which they can't do now. And expand area for spectators. So when we have our swim meets, people can more comfortably fit on the pool deck. For the recreational pool, we wanted to look at adding additional swim lanes. Again, we're seeing more seniors who are recreational swimming and using those lanes, and that's a good way to help fit that need. Additionally, we want ADA compliance and the zero depth entry, and really another feature that you'll be seeing in a minute. I think that's something special. In terms of the top pool, we feel that the existing top pool is small and really needs to be enlarged and continue to encompass splash features. And last but not least is the bathhouse. It really can use improved ventilation. It can improve a need for family changing areas and other enhancements. So these are some of the things that the committee had as objectives and more that will be shared today. And to bring that vision to a reality, we really partnered with Sue Grissom and Ellie Pearson from Grissom Metz Address Associates. They also worked closely with Berzini Aquatics and the development of the pool, as well as the committee. It was a great relationship in developing these plans. Additionally, Chris Blake from the Blake Company, who actually designed this building, and I think pretty much every building in the park, has been instrumental in putting together a conceptual plan for a new bathhouse. And he'll be sharing those concepts with you as well tonight. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sue Grissom to begin the presentation. I hope you're as excited as we are. And after we're done, we'll have an opportunity where people will be able to come up and continue ask questions, give their comments, and provide any feedback that you'd like to provide. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sue Grissom. Thank you.
Everyone, thank you again for your time. It's really, telling how many of you have come today and how you're here. And again, as we're saying, this is to get your feedback. In the end, there'll be questions. I'm going to try to go through slowly. There's a lot to absorb. We've gone through this process. We started more than a year ago with the committee. And so what you're seeing is we're getting close. So with that, we'll kind of go on to the first slide. Alex is going to present with me as well. We're going to share on this presentation. So this, right off, down here says P16. That's the 16th version of the plan we looked at just for the pool deck area. As Shane mentioned, we worked with a pool designer to help us with our committee to talk about all the different uses and how we can improve our pool today. One of the main things, as he said, when we started kind of outlining objectives, was to go from 1 pool to 2 pools. So illustrated here in this version, this is not the latest, is showing our competition pool, where the plates are kind of oriented. And then the leisure pool, more recreation. And then a larger wading pool up here. Other things we talked about is the lifeguards, they're outside of the pool area, how can we get them on the deck? So we looked at, these features, and so, for example, here is the competition pool, like Shane said, where can spectators watch when there's school, there's meets? Where could diving boards be? How can people use this for laughs? Over here, again, this is recreation pool. And to explain, by having two pools, if one goes down, you can use the other one. You don't have to shut the whole facility. When I was here last summer, there are incidents where they had to shut it down. Now we have that option. Another thing about two pools, the competition pool can be a little bit cooler. You want it a little cooler, but I prefer, and probably a lot of you in the recreation pool, a little warmer. Like Shane said, the laps, right there are different laps that people can swim in. Those are about 3/4 as long as the pool, the competition pool. So they're about 60 feet long versus these are a little more than 80 feet long, and you can swim there. Then we've got different depths to the recreation leisure pool, because we had people talking about lessons and different uses. And we've got a 0 depth entry, it's a ramp down, so it's easy to get into the pool area. And then this curled area here is a current pool. You've also heard of them as lazy rivers, but it's smaller. The cool part about this feature is in the morning, if we want, we can have the current go slower. So you can resistance walk and get exercise against it. Or we can have it go quicker and you can use it more for entertainment and floating in. So it's very multi-purpose in that respect. And then as we mentioned, the kiddie pool, we wanted it larger. And we also wanted to add some features to it with the spray features, but really get use out of it. So those are kind of the main components that we went over and over again. This is round 16. Our firm also, being landscape architects, we work for your city and your park, wanted, once we get this to land on the ground, and we wanted to enhance areas that we felt were underutilized. So with that, I'm going to go now to the next round. This is like 4 or 5 versions later. That's the site and landscape design that we want to show. So again, kind of the same orientation, but we've got the competition pool here. Got the leisure pool that you notice now, that water current river is on this side of the pool. This is the beach for orientation. And then we've got the kiddie pool up in here. We had some challenges because there's also this building here that's the mechanical that held the surge pool and all that. Well, now we can move our equipment from that building over to a new building over here that handles the mechanical, which then again is closer to the kiddie pool. So there's a lot of thought how this works. And we mentioned the lifeguards now can go into this bump out area there where they'll have, the glass wheels eyes on their deck. They're part of the pool area. So that was another huge improvement there. So here is again the competition pool. In the last round, we moved the diving boards more to one end versus the need to meet code. That allows less disruption when you're trying to swim laps. You're not looking over your shoulder for people diving. So that was important there as well. Out here on the pool deck, we talked about adding more shade. And so, as you know, there's currently, you've got that awning structure between your pool and the kiddie pool. We're thinking about if we can, we'll repurpose that down here in this corner. This is the layout currently shown for regular use, everyday use. We've got a second layout we'll show you in a second. That is when you have swimming. We're going to do questions later. Is that all right? We'll just go through this, but please remember, so there'll be plenty of time for that, okay? So then over here is this recreation pool again, where this can be a great area at one depth. Like I said, it's a little warmer for lessons and different uses in age groups. Here's our current river, and then there's these laps. We're leaving a lot of room on the deck, the pool deck, for more seating. We're showing more umbrellas for shade. We're going to use more of what you already have. We're going to reuse that awning. But what's nice is now we can have different areas around the deck for different uses. So that's where we're going there. There is that, again, new building there, the mechanical room, more shade here. This was a odd corner that we thought maybe what we could do is have umbrellas, kind of more of a leisure sitting area within the environment, and you want to get away and read a little further away. So we found a use for kind of tucking in kind of more of a lawn, kind of canopy, little landscape area, we'll call it. Next to the parking lot, we're showing, some planting, an evergreen hedge, so we're not, separating our pool area from the parking lot. And then around here over at the kiddie pool, the same story. Around our new bathhouse, Chris will walk us through, we've added a little bit of landscape. But we've left a lot of room for circulation, because coming in and out, you've got that turnstile, we'll have a new turnstile, but you want to leave this area open. And Chris will walk through all the uses in this area. That's it basically in a nutshell about the pool area, okay? But once we got this laid out, then we found an opportunity with the new bathhouse that we could really enhance, we felt, your site. And so we looked at the beach area, we looked at how we can maintain where you've got those trees along that edge in the walk, how we can tighten that up, still have a nice edge, but then maybe enhance this beach area and around the bathhouse. With that, I want to turn it over to Allie Pearson. She's our lead designer. She's taken this forward and kind of worked through this layout, not only for regular use in the pool area, but you'll also talk about when there's swimming. We want to make this as most flexible as we can. And we saw there were so many opportunities on your site that we're excited to show how we can create even more spaces.
Okay, thank you. So as Sue mentioned, we are proposing a new bathhouse, which Chris Blake will walk through. But to be able to get a very ample pool deck, we're proposing to shift the bathhouse to the north, so page right, pretty significantly. And one, to be able to get it off of the existing foundations. And like I said, to give more space within the pool area. And then by doing that, we felt like Sue had mentioned, this is a great opportunity to really enhance sort of the front entrance to the bathhouse, to the aquatic center, to the beach. And so we are proposing to maintain the existing playground that's currently there as you come in off of the parking lot. Your existing crosswalk would remain, and then this is really your starting point as you come in to the aquatic center. You'll come along the playground. We've got a nice curving walkway. It leads you right up to the bathhouse. This is your entries into the multiple restroom facilities. And then from there, you can continue in. We're calling this kind of like the splash deck plaza or courtyard. It leads you into this enhanced pavement area, kind of acts as a rug, leads you through the breezeway of the bathhouse and out to the beach side. Within this rug space, we felt like this is a really good opportunity to implement the splash deck feature. I think that's been kind of a critical element to the aquatic center. One item that we're proposing is to bring it out of the aquatic center and really have multiple purposes for that. We're calling it a wet deck or splash deck. So it can be a sculptural fountain element. It could be lit up. We've got an animation and we've got several views that you'll be able to see what that kind of looks like and feels like. It's surrounded by landscaping, very low hedge landscaping to kind of create that courtyard feel. We've got enhanced landscaping up around the front of the bathhouse. A lot of it is very similar to what you would see throughout the rest of the park and even in front of the community center here. At the terminus of this access is the existing pump house. So in this plan, it's remaining. And I think it just ties in nicely architecturally and kind of creates a nice backdrop for that splash deck feature. As I mentioned, you can continue along the arching or curving walkway. It leads you down to the existing connection over to the marina and to the community center. We've maintained the walkway over to the playground and the snack shop or concession stands. But it also takes you to this east side of the bathhouse where we're proposing a change in pavement material. It might be maybe a composite decking, something a little bit softer that really has a nice feel, as you kind of look out into the beach and onto the harbor and marina. Within that axis, in that rug space, we're proposing to incorporate a couple more of that, couple more fountain features. They could be dual purpose. They could act as a foot wash as you come out of the beach. And Sue mentioned the trees that we'd like to incorporate. This gets a little bit tighter in here, compared to what is existing today, but we'd have a softened edge. We'd soften that pool fence edge with, ornamental grasses. And then we've got an ample walkway again leading down to, your kayak paddleboard zone. And then several steps down to the beach. We are showing maybe an opportunity for, shade structures along that beach area. This would be like an elevated planter of, ornamental grasses. Again, just to kind of soften that edge. And then as you get down into the beach area, it kind of acts as a nice backdrop, as you're enjoying the beach. Surrounding the deck area, again, we'd enhance it with landscaping. We really like the idea of bringing in the feeling of like, the beach grass and having that softened, element there. And then we bring in some benches along this existing, walkway down to the harbor. Did I miss anything, Sue?
I just want to mention that what's really great that when we got together and had objectives, by putting these splash elements out front, we can keep the water, we can run it much longer through the season. So when the pool is closed, we can keep going earlier and later, which would be fantastic.
The next slide is gonna be, you'll notice it kind of in this pool zone, but we're showing competition layout. So in the last view, we had kind of the bleacher storage down on this side. We're now showing just one conceptual layout of how the bleachers could be incorporated. Maybe some, rope fencing to separate, your swimmers, from the spectators. And how you could, maintain access to the recreational pool as well. And ample space, I think, for the swimmers as well for those meets. Good. So this is just a material image slide, again, showing the concept of the decking with the kind of soft grasses surrounding it. That step down, this, not necessarily the stone material, but just the concept of the step down with the grasses, plant bed beyond that. And then just some reference images of what that splash deck feature might look like with the fountains. They'd be variable height. In the animation, you'll see that we've got various types of nozzles just to really enhance and activate, that space. And then again, the planting palette would be very similar to what you see out here in the park. And then we've got views. So we've got a few views. This is coming in from the parking lot side. So you're seeing the new bathhouse out here to the right. Again, this walkway leads you to the various restroom facilities. And then you're starting to see a glimpse of that splash deck courtyard space. Now a view from the northwest corner of the splash deck. Again, this is just one concept of what those fountain elements could look like. I think the animation that you'll see at the end of the presentation really shows it really nicely. We're proposing to try to maintain as many trees as we can. I think that's really important. With the bathhouse moving to the north, there will be some that will have to be removed. So this is now looking from the northeast corner of the bathhouse. You're starting to get a glimpse of that decking feature that's on the east side, as well as the screen in the porch of the bathhouse. This is your existing walkway that leads directly to the concession stand. Now we're on the beach side of the bathhouse. This is your main walkway that leads down to the, so the paddleboards and kayak zone would be behind us. You kind of get a glimpse of that additional fountain, foot wash element, and the enhanced pavement rug, if you will. And then again, that deck area off to the side and how we would kind of encompass, that space with the beach grass or ornamental grasses. And I think we'll move to architectural.
Good evening. I'm Chris Blake. I'm with the Blake Company, a local design build firm, and we were asked if we would assist in designing the pool house, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago. And it's been very fun and it's been exciting and it's been challenging. I think Sue mentioned that was version 16 for the pool plan. It was not the final one. I've been calling them 2.0, 3.0. I think we're up to like 12.0 now. So, but we've had a lot of great feedback from the pool committee. And we've had a lot of feedback from the administration. And we've tried to take direction from all the input that we've received. So so I'll comment on some of the things that we found to be important. Ally, will you?
Mhm.
So first of all, this is the layout that we're proposing for the bathhouse. And we've moved it about 20 feet to the north. And we determined that the footings that are there now could not be dependable enough to use. We couldn't be 100% certain that they would work. So that was one of the first decisions. The footings need to be redone. So once that was determined, then it set us a bit free to relocate and change the shape of the bathhouse as we needed to. You saw some of the exterior elevations, and I think our goal was to maintain the architectural style that we sort of established at the park some years ago with this building and with the ice skating rink warming building. So both those buildings, we tried to keep in that style. We thought it was appropriate for Grosse Pointe. I described it as sort of New England architecture, very residential in feel, not commercial. I would contrast it to the building in the park that feels way more commercial. We happen to feel that a residential style building is warmer and more comfortable and more inviting and is more appropriate for a family park like this. So let me walk you through the building. First of all, the breezeway, people like the breezeway. It seems like it's sort of part of this park. And so we started with the premise that we would maintain the breezeway, which is right here. So we kept the breezeway. We picked up some architectural detailing here and here from this building. So there's some continuity and tie between the buildings. Then with direction from committee, from park, from the city management, from park management, we determined that the best thing to do was to have 3 locker rooms, I'll call them, or 3 bathroom areas, a men's, a woman's, and a family. So we'll start out with, and we decided that it was better to have separate entrances right to the outside. In discussion with the pool committee, an earlier version, the access in and out of the locker rooms was not direct. We came into a lobby, then we went through a hallway, and then we went into the locker rooms. There was a feeling that people really want to be able to walk in the locker room, and especially in the family locker room, if you have a stroller, walk in, have a clear access to the outside, and walk out. And so we tried to clean that up and make it a simpler plan that was better access. So we'll start here with the men's restroom. So the door is here. This is a covered porch, and it has a door to the men's, the women's, and the family. So the men's, we have sort of a central axis that goes through right in and right out. We also discussed with the pool committee the idea of a wet area and a dry area. And we went to the city park, we went to the park, we looked at other, how those facilities are laid out, and that helped direct us. So first of all, when you walk in, there's sort of a dry area here. And we have a locker, a changing room, a shower, and a bench, and of course there'd be room for hooks. You come through here, that's a utility closet. This is a baby changing area. We have 2 sinks here, and then a ADA toilet room right here. So in this area, we have a toilet room, 2 changing rooms, a shower, and sinks. You come through here, and we'll get to what we'll call the wet area. So the idea is if kids come in off the pool, they come in here, they're all wet. This area is going to stay wet, as we know these facilities do. And it's more likely that if you're coming to change your clothes and get dressed and take a shower, you can do it here where it's a little more drier and a little easier to not to stay dry. So in this area, we have 2 urinals, We have 2 showers, sort of, as now there's that whole room with the row of showers. We felt 2 was enough. We have 2 toilet stalls and we have a sink. And then over here, we have a bench. So if somebody needs to sit down, they can. So that's the men's locker room. The number of toilets, showers, sinks, etc. was developed in consultation with the city management when they went through and basically told me what they wanted in this, and that's how we came up with those numbers. And I believe that Shane can explain that later, but they went through a process to determine that. The women's restroom has the same idea, a dry area here and a wet area here. So again, you come right through here and you go right out to the pool deck. So utility sink, baby changing room, bench, shower, ADA toilet, 2 sinks. Coming through here, 3 toilets here, a common shower and a sink. So again, it incorporates the same elements in the women's locker room restroom. The family locker room, it was important that this be at the end of the building because I don't know, when I used to come to the park, I always sort of weird, you walk through out into the pool deck and you're on the kiddie pool, and then you got to go through another gate to get into the pool. So we thought for the family room that it'd be nice if you could come in, go out to the main pool here, if that's where you're heading, or you can go out to the kiddie pool here, so you can go either way. And in here, we have a changing room with a baby changing room incorporated inside it and a bench. We have another baby changing here, utility sink, 2 sinks, a shower room with a bench and a baby changing that's private. So if somebody wants to go in there with their kids and take a shower or change their baby, they have that ability to do it in private. We have another changing room here with both a bench and baby. We have an ADA toilet with a bench. And then we have sort of a common shower and a common toilet that's separate. And again, 2 sinks here. So again, the idea of the access to both pools we thought was important here. Alongside the breezeway, we have a stairway that goes up to the 2nd floor. We have a mechanical room that comes off the breezeway. We have another bathroom, a full bathroom, toilet, sink, bench, baby changing, shower. And the idea is that this gives people at the beach a place to access a convenient bathroom and shower and a changing room. Then we have a lost and found, and any equipment rental can work out of this facility right here, which will have access to the deck and also to the pool deck and also to the sidewalk. So coming through here, which is now where the lifeguards are, we developed there's an elevator, a stairway that goes up to the 2nd floor, a large screen porch that looks out towards the lake and the beach, and then a game room. So there was some desire to have a game room for kids' recreation. Alex, you go to the 2nd floor. So the administration asked us to develop a building on the 2nd floor because the demand for space in the park is significant. So on the 2nd floor, we basically created 1 large activities room with all windows out here looking out over the pool deck and the lake, and a pair of doors out here that go out to a deck on top of the screen porch. We have a stairway going down here, an elevator, storage, warming kitchen, ADA bathroom, and a 2nd stairway. So it's basically 1 large activities room. So you saw, I think the questions will be later. Okay. So you guys saw the graphic representation, sort of the 3D images that Ali showed, but this is the line drawings of what we're proposing. So Ali, why don't you move through here?
Sure. Oops,
I'm sorry, go back to that, please. Go back. So this shows you where the doors are. This is the family restroom, women's, men's, breezeway. We tried to incorporate small windows wherever we could, so there was natural light going into those areas. And this is that bank of windows that looks out over the pool deck and the beach. That's the game room, the screen porch. This is the lost and found. That element was introduced just to make the building look better. And then these are the doors into the locker rooms. Solid doors with glass transoms above. Next. This is the end of the building. There's the screen porch that looks out over the beach and the lake. And then the other end, that's that door that comes out to the kids' pool area. So this is another 3D drawing out. This is the one we did. It's not as good as the one Ally did. Yours looks a lot better. But at least gives you an idea of the building. You know, it's sort of that New England feel. We tried to keep it low and not make it too high with this 1.5-story roof line with a shed dormer here. Just to break it up so it feels warm. We use the same material that's on this building, brick, red brick, and then also some Michigan fieldstone. So we tried to incorporate some continuity between the two buildings. That's the side facing the pool deck. Again, we have a little bit of Michigan fieldstone in here. And then brick. Now, another view. So as we looked at and talked to the pool designers about the pool equipment, my first inclination was, we'll just put it back in that building. I mean, why not? Seems like we have that building, why not use it? And as they analyzed the mechanics of the pool system, which I'll be the first to admit I don't know much about, they determined that it was going to be a lot more efficient to operate, a lot more efficient to build, if it was located much more to a central point to all three pool structures. So the thought was developed to build a very simple building that basically housed all of the mechanical equipment in the pool. And then the other thought was, if we put it right on the parking lot, that's where they can get all their deliveries of chemicals and acid and keep it all off the pool deck and it come right from the parking lot into there. This area would be a fenced wall for the heaters, and then all the pump and other equipment would fit into here. I tried to just pick up the same architecture of the other building and a small dormer that's really not necessary, but architecturally, I think it makes the building look better from the pool deck. And again, mixing fieldstone and brick, double hung windows with shutters. There's a side view, or that's the back view towards the parking lot. So no reason for windows there. Somebody has pointed out that it'll be fun that kids can actually look in this window and see all the pump. I was thinking, oh, we need to put something up those windows to make them opaque or hide them. And somebody at the pool committee said, no, keep them open, because kids will love looking in there to see the pumps working and what it takes to run the pool. So that's a 3D version of this building.
We'll do those two animations next. I just gotta get to the right window.
So hopefully that with the drawings and the animations and Ally's work, it gives you a feel for what type of building and the style that we're suggesting might really work well at the park.
Do you have one of the guard sheds going?
Gotcha. So,
The new guard shed.
so the area, and maybe if you go back in the original, where the equipment is housed now, the idea is to repurpose that area.
I know, but you didn't show up what it looked like that was existing.
So there'll be some modification, but if you look at where the equipment is those windows that are kind of at the deep end, it's actually, the nice part of it is the guards will actually be on the pool deck with windows looking out directly out to the pool. I think there might be some modification with doors and the interior, but there's about 900 square feet in that area. So it really, we thought, this is really an ideal win-win. We're gonna have to move the equipment out of there, and then we can move the guards closer to the pool area. And actually, when they check in currently now, they're actually coming in through that gate to the maintenance area. So now they'll have a punch taco directly into that new facility.
So,
I just mentioned Crystal Maple.
well, I actually did that building years ago, but I had to work with what I had. So, we need to create a better egress so they can get out to the deck quickly. But we haven't gotten that far yet, so.
We're gonna go back to the pool design because we have some renderings of that as well, which hopefully will be clearer. So this is the wading pool area. And then so what it's featuring is first off, it's like 1.5 to 1 3/4 the size that it is today. It's got these different elements more geared to younger kids or, play and with kind of bubblers. This is where it's like, they call it like the beach zero entry in, which is bigger than the little tiny entrance they have today. And then you get in a little bit deeper here and these features, they have to evolve. We haven't selected them. That'll be another whole topic. It's just to give a sense so you can see the light, see that we've got room all around to sit and just get a sense of the feel for the space and how it can be used. This is just another view looking back. But again, the features we've got to figure out, but it's just so you can get a sense of we've got different zones for different kids and just a lot of use within this area. We're looking now at the competition pool. As I mentioned before, the diving boards are off to the side. Shaded mentioned it's deeper than it is today, so it will work better for people coming off the blocks and swimming. And then there's just ample room around these areas where before things were just always tight. So when there are meets that people can more comfortably sit. Allie had mentioned, kind of these trees along this edge. Here's the fence, the beach beyond, just to kind of get a little bit of a softer feel on that area. And then off in the distance is that leisure, kind of recreation pool, kind of more shade elements. And then this right here in the front there is the mechanical room that we said we're repurposing. So the lifeguards can be right out there, part of the pool area as they should be. Now we're looking down on the recreational pool. So we've got large area with steps. The pool committee talked about, again, opportunities for teaching with different depths in the pool for kids. And just great area there. This again is that current river I mentioned. This pool again, it's going to be a little warmer than the competition pool. Again, the current can go at different speeds. Sometimes it's resistance, just walking, sometimes play. And then off here are the lap lanes that then people don't have to be bothered with keep looking over their shoulder. It's more of a leisurely fitness and these will always be open. Another point I forgot to mention is sometimes when these guys are getting ready for their competition meet, they can go over here and just kind of warm up, so that's another plus.
How
that
many
they've got
connections do you have there?
I think we were going for Shane, wasn't it 8?
8.
The competition pool
Yeah,
is
that's
8
eight.
lanes, but we currently have
This is 3.
plus the additional 3.
Plus 3. And they're about 3/4 as long as the competition.
But way shorter than what we have now. You guys are the other guys.
Well, we currently have 8 lanes, for competitive, and we're gonna continue to have 8 lanes, question.
Right.
And then with the addition of 3 additional recreational lanes.
Right there. And
Excuse me, if you say 8 lanes, can you ask question? No.
no, but the lanes are now 25 meters long. That was one of the other challenges. We didn't meet the right length when they had meet. So now everything is meeting, how they can have competition.
Do the rest of us get to use the competition pool when it's not being inspiration?
Yeah, we'll do questions at the end, but yes. Go on. So this is looking now at the beach area. So to the right would be the lake and beach area. And what we're hoping, and we really believe is now, the edge that currently where you have the walkway with the waves, now we can step down and have a lower level that we could sit out on and lay underneath, different shade and what. So we're down tucked in amongst the beach. And we've got along that edge, instead of just the drop off that we have currently, we've got some plantings to kind of help separate you from here and then down below. And then you can easily step down to this area that it could be grass, it could be different, area. And then you've got the beach area, but I think it's gonna be become a new opportunity. And then by having that deck tucked into that screened-in porch, this is gonna be great hangout for sunsets and of events out here, because this is the best place ever when you sit out on this corner and look out at the lake. So again, we're just trying to find all these little nooks and crannies that are underutilized, we felt, and we can really maximize the use of all different, flexible uses. Alright, so Ellie's gonna have fun with this one.
So Sue and I have been working with a fountain manufacturer. There's almost unlimited selections on the nozzle choices. What we've landed on, we feel is a pretty good representation of what the extensive possibilities are. We wanted to get a very good range in the nozzle types. Again, that really helps to activate the space. I think it is a good element to be used for the various age groups, kids all the way up to adults. And we really tried to, I think, incorporate some of those elements that, again, just attracts all age types. There's additional elements that can be included, lighting for one. Again, I think that, in the evenings when the park is starting to kind of settle down, having that element running, all hours of the day, but also in the evening is going to be a really nice feature. And that's the end of the presentation.
Now we can turn it over to questions. I don't know
Great.
how you wanna.
Why don't we, I think as I did, move the mic in front, is that what we want to do?
Yes, yeah.
We do kind of budget for
Okay, that is on the agenda. Thank you for following the agenda. Who wants to talk about budgets? Budgets. But, so, it's a big project, no doubt about it. In terms of budget, we have got some preliminary estimates. I think they're pretty good preliminary estimates, but we're probably in the, $10 to $12 million range. So for the total project, if we look at all the elements that we've talked about tonight, but that will be, now that we have conceptual plans, that will be further refined as we go further along. So it's a major project. In terms of financing, it's going to require participation significantly from the city and from our taxpayers. It's also we're going to rely on philanthropy. We hope to raise at least some significant dollars for this project, and we've got some commitments already in for the Parcel Foundation and others. So with that said, on a positive note, this building we're in right now, we have just paid off this building. The debt bonds have expired. The debt service is completed on this project. We've now we've made our last payment on the harbor expansion that was done over 20 years ago, and so we're basically will be most likely trading old debt to new debt, and so it will be a long-term investment. There will be bond issuance that will go 25 years, 30 years potentially for a project of this scope. So again, those things will be worked in more detail as we get further along and further estimates. There's still a lot to do. There's getting a contract management in place, getting proper specifications in place, bidding elements of the project. So there's a lot to do, but the goal in terms of timeline is to complete. It's a bid documents, get everything in order for this calendar year. So we're able to begin construction in the spring, early spring of next year, of 26. It's gonna be a big project. We anticipate we will not have use of the pool next calendar year. The pool, we've been told it's a 8-month project at least for construction. And so, you know, what we've already had, we've had serious discussions with our neighboring municipalities in the Grosse Points about allowing use of their pools for recreational use during the summer. You know, we've even talked about an odd even format where maybe if you have an odd address, you go to the Woods Park. If you have an even address, you go to the Park. And we even talked about maybe midsummer, August 15th, you switch it. So you've got people have an opportunity to go to different parks. We might look at doing some type of senior swim over at the Shores Park. So everyone has been receptive. The other managers have actually had conversations with the other mayors about this and the Shores will likely be redoing their pool, in a couple of years. And we'll probably want some reciprocal favors there. As far as swim team, Chris Galatas and I met with the school administration about a week and a half ago and received commitment that they would work with us for the use of the auditorium for swim team next year. So that's the plan. The other part is our lifeguards. We really rely on our lifeguards and we don't want to leave them in the lurch. And so we're going to work very closely with the other Grosse Points to make sure we can try to maintain those jobs for those lifeguards next season. They're going to need them in the other parks next year for help, and we're going to need them back here 2 years from now. So that's going to be important. So if there's any other questions then regarding budget and timetable, happy to talk about it. Please come up to the mic and just say your name and address, please.
Cam Kabajian. Could you please go to the map of the pools?
Yep, address 2, please. Address 2.
Huh?
Address 2, for the record.
66 half lanes.
Thank you.
You want probably the first one, the overall design?
Yes, that one is good. When you say that one has 8 laps, when you see those divings, so when some people want to dive, that means there is no 8 laps, there's only 4 laps.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so you're right, when we have swim team and you will not have use of the diving board when you have practices. But the idea is when we want to make lanes available in that competitive pool throughout the.
So you cannot move the diving board someplace else. Most of them don't like to dive, they just have to swim.
So yeah, you probably one, we probably will have 4 or 5 lanes. I mean, there's a possibility. I mean, there could be times where you would have, maybe senior swim, for instance, or certain times of the day that you would dedicate all lanes open. So some of those are going to be more policy decisions that will be reviewed, I think, by the Parks and Harbor Committee. But I think, as I discussed before, and one of the thoughts is, we know we're getting increased demand and use of those lanes for recreational swimming, particularly among our senior community. And so part of the thought process is how do we develop programming to help, make that happen. This is kind of, we felt was, a bonus. Even during practices, we try to keep a couple lanes open for recreational swimming. But in addition to a couple lanes that we leave open, we'll have some additional lanes that could be used. And they could be used by youth too, because we will do swim lessons, continue to do swim lessons in this area. And part of those lanes will be utilized for swim lessons for the youth.
Okay, 2 more things I want to ask. Yesterday when I went to pool to swim, they told me that the pool is closed because someone puked in there. And we want this pool completely get devoted to the adults, to the seniors, because adults there is a possibility that adults puke very, very asleep. I don't believe that.
Yes, we do have contamination issues once in a while, and again, as you had mentioned, one benefit of a two pool system, there will be independent filtering systems and they're operated independently, the pumps and so forth. So if you did have a biohazardous incident in one pool, the other pool would be available, vice versa.
And lastly, the stream team. Sometimes we go there, they say the stream team is in practice, you cannot go. When the stream team is in the pool, can we have the other pool or no?
For when they're doing practices, yes. I mean, again, a lot of the policies, so, yeah, and I guess we're gonna have to look at that, to be honest with you. I don't know the answer to that. I know when we have if we're hosting the meet, for instance, if we're hosting the meet with all the ghosts, all the ghost boys.
That's understandable. I don't
Okay.
want- But the days that every day from 3 to 6:30, you close the pool, say that the stream is there. When these two pools come to existence,
Yes,
from 3 to 6:30, it will not be closed anymore, one of them, you can go.
yeah. I think there will be an opportunity to still have recreational use of that pool when we have other functions in the park. I haven't discussed that with the Parks and Rec director, but that will be an objective, is to try to maximize the use of both of those pools, and I think it gives us more flexibility. As you know, in the woods, they are able to keep some other parts of the pools open during
Pools
meetings.
is excellent, they have that.
They've got the room to do that.
And lastly, the shower area, sometimes I notice that when people go to the shower, their feet are full of sand. Is there any place that they can wash their feet before they go to the shower?
Yes, well, there's a few things I think that are gonna help with that. One is that we're looking at adding a water feature right by the beach as you're coming up. And it's a dual purpose. It's gonna look pretty, it's gonna kind of bring you into the beach area, but it's also will be a way to rinse off. And now apparently when people come in, they're coming directly into the bathhouse and tracking that sand in. Here, now you're to get to the main pool, you have to go through the main, the front entrances of the building out to the pool. There will still be an access to a bathroom off the beach though, for those people, if you don't want to walk around. Next question?
My name's Missy Mustrovich. I'm a 40 Beacon Hill address. A couple questions. So first, biggest concern I have looking at all the different pools is lifeguard staffing. You mentioned how much we depend on them, and this year especially, there's been a lot of instances where I get the toddlers ready, go to the pool, and then the baby pool is closed. And I'm just concerned about the impact of that, and if there's been thought around the additional staff that will be needed for all of these pools.
Yes, there has, and we've actually we've looked at that. Trying to think, does this plan?
The first one,
I
the
think the
original
first
one,
one back to the plan.
Oh, the first, okay. Yep.
the original concept.
So, yeah, so this was done by Rosini and placed these in place, so they have 1, 2, 3, 4 stands, this plan. We currently have how many now? 1, 2, 3.
So would you need them for the kiddie pool then? Because it
Yeah.
doesn't look like.
So we do need something so one thing for the kiddie pool, what we've actually talked about is we do need a certified lifeguard.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be you, it could be an adult, so anybody in this room, we will be taking applications for lifeguard duty. But that is a concern. I think we actually had probably more lifeguard applicants this year than we've seen in a number of years. The challenge is now everyone goes back to school, right? This is a week everyone's going back to college. This is a week high school sports start. And so I know, for instance, my understanding is we have another park that's not even open to pool during the day this week because of the shortage. We are maintaining our pool is open and efforts will be, obviously, that's going to be a priority to make sure we have good staff.
And then one other question, do you know what is the comparison of the size of this kiddie pool to the current wading pool?
It's about 1.5 times the size.
Okay.
Just maybe a hair over 1.5 times the size.
Okay.
The overlay available real quick.
Yes.
By chance.
Yep.
Basically my concern or my question kind of for that
Yeah.
comment.
So here, Okay, it's right here right now. And this is it right now, if proposed.
Yeah, so I think just the consideration I have is it seems like the young families are losing a little bit of space, and I do recognize that we've got the splash features outside of the building. But sometimes like for like a 1-year-old, that's not always convenient if you've got one in the big pool, one in the little pool, and then the splash pad outside. So I just don't know if there's been any other considerations to have some of those splash features be inside the pool area, maybe by the baby pool, but separate, so that there's kind of space for different ages. That would just be, I guess, a
Yeah,
comment.
there's been a lot of discussion about the splash pad and the fear that we were gonna eliminate the splash pad. And you're right, we are sacrificing the size of the splash pad for a larger tide pool. And again, I think the numbers have supported that there is more demand, I think, for the tide pool.
Mhm.
And then the numbers that we've had for the use of the splash pad, but the splash pad is still very important. So the goal was to try to get the best of both worlds, to have splash features within the kiddie pool area. And as we're shown in that illustration, and maybe there is a way to do something out on the deck, a bucket or something.
Yeah.
But then also have something which I think is gonna be attractive, for all ages, not just the kiddies. I think you're gonna see young kids playing it. I think you're gonna see adults playing it in this area, that carpet area that was described earlier.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Patrick Wagner from 353 Hillcrest. I have a couple questions regarding the overall design of the pool. First, I want to start with the locker room. Being a collegiate swimmer myself, and being in and out of a lot of pools, I feel like the locker room is very tight. Like when it comes to a lot of people coming in and out of the pool, I feel in general, like moving around, you can fit maybe 2 or 3 people in that locker. If you're thinking on a hot summer day, you're thinking 40 to 50 people in and out of there in an hour. And it just logically, it seems small and it seems like it can't take that large capacity you would think of. One good example of a large capacity locker room would be like the woods pool. That one's a little bit bigger, especially in the shower area and the bathroom area. Second, being an assistant swim coach for the Grass Point Gators Swim Club, one of the big questions we have is why was a 50-meter pool not considered in this space? Given if you were to have a 10-lane 50-meter pool, you'd have plenty of space for the little kids on one end, along with having plenty of lap lanes for older swimmers on the other end, along with considering a swim team. You would also be considering if you could rent the space before and after the opening hours of the pool, which would allow a swim team to come in and rent that space, potentially helping with the budget of the pool. Given lifeguards a concern, you'd have more budget to play with, and you'd also be able to give more options to your residents.
Yeah, so, a lot of good points. I mean, we did look at, I guess going from your last comment, we did look at going with the larger pool. But I mean, as you can see, this is 25 meters. This is 50. And if you're using that for swim team, you're not making any recreational space available for other users of the park. And it's a compromise. So it's a feature of space. And frankly, I think most of the other parks are 25 meters, aren't they? The other parks,
I believe so. Yeah.
the competitive.
Little kids can't swim 50 meters.
Yeah.
So that the 8 and unders can't get across that.
Right, but if you did the
Yeah.
other way to 50 by 25,
Yeah.
then you could do the competition pool 25.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, and I've been in the woods bathroom, we did go we've kind of toured all the parks, during fairly the busy season. And we did look at counts, when from June 15th to July 15th, we captured that data. How many people are in the large pool, how many people are in the pool deck, how many people are at the splash pad, how many people are at the top pool. Every 2 hours, we did that throughout the day, and just getting the sense of utilization. And I think we may have some issues with the bathrooms feeling crowded that first year when everyone is there. And but we'll get through it, and you don't want to build, you know, your church for Easter Mass. You're trying to look at your daily usage, and frankly, you know, we kind of are similar to the number of showers, toilets. For the facility that was built in 1960, I should mention the population in 1960 was actually about 70% higher than it is today. It was about 12,000 residents versus 2,000. It tended to be younger than it is today.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Come on, Martin.
Hi, Margaret Whittingham, 280 Turning Road. I just had a question in regards to thinking about swim team, synchro, tennis lessons, dance. We have a number of students that come here, they go to swim team, they go to synchro, they come to dance, they go to tennis, and kind of bop around. So with swim team moving to South, how are we gonna think about getting kids back to the park, maybe for tennis lessons or dance or synchro? I don't know where synchro is going, but I know Woods uses a shuttle. Have we thought about maybe issuing like a shuttle for the summer? But thinking about a lot of parents in Brooklyn Farms now are dual working and trying to get kids to all the different activities that they love. And I know that the synchro team doesn't want to lose kids for dance or anything like that.
We did.
That's a great, oh, you take it?
No, we did. That was brought up at, our last meeting with regard to someone on our committee grew up in Grosse Pointe Woods, explained the virtues of how they were picked up at the end of the block of being young. It's definitely a consideration. Our city size is smaller, so to speak, than others. In terms of distances, it's much smaller than what the Woods has to deal with in terms of people getting to the pool. And versus the high school for swim team and things, so it's something under consideration. No problem, no promises. However, the cost added on to that in terms of automobile, additional staffing that we have to provide, insurances and the like. It's quite high, but it's something that was raised under consideration. I don't think, going forward, it's something we're thinking about doing permanently, but for the year it's closed, possibility, no promises.
Perfect, thank you.
Hi, Rob Cardoz, 37 Edgemere. Going back to the budget, it seems like that was kind of an afterthought here. Beautiful designs. It seems like a bit of a select all. Is there a kind of, hey, maybe some of these features we don't need on this revision, or maybe an earlier piece, or
Sure.
what our utilization is
Yeah.
like an activity room?
Yeah, you know, we kind of had an original number kind of in our mind where we thought we would be in that 10 million range. And I think it might, you know, I think it may be close to the 12 million range. We don't know what those numbers are exactly, but you're right. There are certain elements that could be looked at separately, things that could be funded separately through philanthropic, you know, efforts. And so we will be looking at the different elements.
So we're getting to the point where we're finalizing, you know, looks like plans, things like that. Is it more important to get to the budget finalized before we get to those details?
Well, I think this is kind of your master plan for the aquatic complex, and so we need to look at those costs. As mentioned, you know, this feature here, this fountain feature out in front, that price can vary greatly. There was another version that Ally had wanted to show. I said, no, we're not gonna show that version. It was the Cadillac version. It was a lot more action and movement within that fountain. And so that might be something that would be considered if that was somebody who really really value the fountain in that project. And we will be looking for naming rights. So you know, so those are, I think, the budget, all has to be, you know, go through a process. Nothing has been approved by city council. This will all have to go to a council vote. The financing has to be in order and explained. We have a certain expectation and need for certain philanthropy, and that would have to be done as well.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and so you know, it's a good committee. it's a good question, because I sit on budget as well. As you drive around the city, you undoubtedly know, we've just started a $50 million project. in terms of the sewer separation project. I know the Mayor Pro Tem Conrad Wilberding is here, Joe left. Rest assured, we have had the lowest millage rates of any community of all the gross points of the Birmingham, Bloomfield for many, many years. We intend to keep it that way. Budget is number one on our mind to make sure that we do it in check, and hopefully when the bond harbors are coming off and other such things, that's the primary means of doing it without affecting your pockets. Believe me, absolutely.
And just to follow up on that though, if the budget is number one, you said our budget was 10, we're already talking 12. Is
No,
that a, we're already running by 2 and we're already.
That was the initial estimate. Again, we don't have a final number. We're just looking at some preliminary budget estimates. And I think as we refine the design and we actually get solid numbers, estimates, but I think we'll have a better idea. And if there are some things that have to be relooked at, we will obviously have to relook at those. Thank you.
Good evening, Stephen Amagi, 336 Kercheval. Thank you for hosting us tonight. Been living here for the past year, had a baby, this one, and for the reason we wanted to move in farm. First question, when it comes to the bath area, contrary to the other individual mentioned, it's too small. I think it's too big for a sink. For the men specifically, it seems like the men have a bigger space than women.
It's the same.
Oh, it's the same square
Yeah,
footage?
it's this, yeah, I think it's deceiving because one is more.
Okay.
One's bigger, one wants.
I was gonna offer the women the more space. I think these- Visually, it looks big. In terms of funding and future source of revenue, the second floor.
You can take it off. Feel free to take it off if you want.
Yeah, okay. The second floor community space, are there thoughts to be able to rent that out to residents? We did look at using this for the baby shower, but we understood summertime, there's no chance for us to.
Well, this is heavily utilized, building, no doubt about it, particularly on weekends, but keep trying. We want you to credit. So the idea, again, with the upper level was an opportunity. We didn't want to go vertical to, two stories, because of the scale. But I think what Chris Blake did is he built in a kind of a utility room on the second floor. And what we see there, I mean, there could be a lot of uses. We could envision, the swim team, when they're having a pizza party, or it's raining for an hour, they just need shelter for an hour and, to watch a movie or some training that we might have up there. But I think those are policy decisions we'll discuss with the pool, the Parks and Harbor Committee. But I would see it would be a great opportunity to have a kid's birthday party, use that room for something along those lines. A source of revenue, but really a nice amenity for our residents to be able to utilize.
Yeah, definitely support that. And my next question is the covered patio. So I'm assuming it's gonna be similar to that setup there.
Yes.
I haven't personally seen many people lounge there. Maybe it's because they have to enter through the entrance past summer. So again, another opportunity for people to rent that particular space out, or another idea could be maybe having a small community kitchen where, I don't know if you guys do like food trucks in the parking lot at times, events, but just an idea. And then the brick pavement area with the water features, similar to what they're doing in Greektown, where you can, buy a brick for your name. Is that in consideration for?
That would be a great one.
Yeah.
Great idea that the foundation would probably want to consider.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah.
I'm just this feature, because this is something new. This is an add-on, just to show hands, who likes that feature? People like it? So maybe a little bit more than half. How many people really think that's not necessary, it needs to go?
Compare this splash pad.
together.
Okay, well, that's interesting, thank you. I think, so we're seeing a mix, there's a lot of people think that's a great feature, some not as necessary. Okay, next question.
Hi, I'm Anne Marie Aliota, 336 Ridgemont. I am sort of gonna talk about what you just said and echoing what an earlier speaker said. I'm really bummed that we aren't gonna keep the splash pad the way it is. I don't think, whatever you're calling that, the splash deck is not the same as the current colorful, spacious splash pad. And having the splash pad as part, interconnected to the baby pool and the big pool is, I think, unnecessary convenience for moms with one kid, with young kids, and for grandmothers with young grandkids. So I appreciate that you had this meeting and that we're here to get feedback, and you said it's not final. I don't know what kind of surveys you did ahead of time, asking people what they were looking for. But when I heard that there was a possibility the splash pad was going away, I was like, I'm coming to this meeting because I think people really enjoy that splash pad. And if there's a way to consider working it back in so that I love the fact that the kiddie pool is bigger, but working a splash pad back in so that it's adjacent to the kiddie pool and adjacent to the regular pool, just for the convenience of moms and grandmas. If there's a way to consider that, I think the community would appreciate it.
Julie Fowler, 460 Allard. For the shallow end of the competition pool, how deep is that going to be?
The competition pool.
The shallow end of it.
4 feet. 4 feet.
I think 4.
I think I believe it's 4 feet at
So
the
just
shallow end.
consideration for the depth of that, because your smaller pool, if you're utilizing the 3 lap lanes for lap swimmers, we have shrunk the space for, call it your 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
That they can't swim at 12 feet deep at the deep end. And you've shrunk them down. So can we consider the depth there? I know from a competition perspective, you can't have it too shallow, but so just consider that, and then the pool policy of maybe keeping those 3 lanes open during busy times when families are there, because you are shrinking your space for kids if they can't swim in that competition pool. My other question is about the pool bottom material as well as the material for the splash feature. I don't know if anybody swam at the city park baby pool. It's awful. My daughter's feet were cut up within 30 minutes. So if we could really think about like something soft in both areas, kids are gonna play in that splash feature barefoot. So just something that's gonna be softer on their feet. They're wet, they're gonna get cut. So it's probably a later decision, but it's just really something to
That's
think about.
something that will come later in the discussion, but that has been brought up by the committee.
Okay.
As a discussion point.
Okay.
I know that used to be, I remember as a kid, the Mars pool, you had bloody feet because of the Marsite and that the liner is actually is much more forgiving.
Absolutely. And then just to reiterate the staffing, former lifeguard, at the yacht club, very similar setup to the competition pool. It was a really tough pool to lifeguard at, from the setup of where you station lifeguards. So really thinking through, how you staff all 3 pools, because if you shut down the baby pool to say only the diving well can be open, it's a disappointment to the families that show up that can only use the baby pool.
Right.
That's later on, so thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Annie Augustus, 380 Hillcrest. Thank you for all your time and consideration. Many of you, yes, this is a paid gig. Others, it's volunteer hours. It's an active labor. Thank you so much. It looks great. I'm mostly concerned about the logistics and the timeline, but it seems like that was almost just calling it what it is. Like, we have this amazing plan, but it seems like we're not thinking through that. I don't know why I'm bending over.
Yeah, you can take that up, Annie. There you go.
I'm concerned that we're not thinking through the full ramifications for this being closed and how much of the park is going to be off access. For sure for 1 summer, if not for 2, because I'm not sold on like the timeline being super secure. And I think we're underestimating what an overall social impact it's going to have for young families. So if the park is this if the park is this closed, right, so the beach probably gonna be closed, I'll just talk and then you can answer. So the beach is probably gonna be closed, this whole area is gonna be closed, maybe the fountain park or like all the, right? So basically most of the park except for the other side. Families are going to go away, families that typically have their kids at the park in the summer, that with nannies or sitters or themselves tag teaming, they're gonna need to go to camps. That's all doable. Are we sure it's going to be one summer? Is it going to be two? Other questions. The lazy river, there's been a lot of concern. Oh, also I am a swim family, so like I am the people that we all appreciate it, appreciate the competition pool. The lazy river, there's been some serious concerns for safety for the amount of like skill it takes to guard a lazy river and the current capacity. Love our lifeguards. Most of them are very young for the attention and focus that are needed if the current is turned on. So I worry we're investing in a feature that we're not really going to be able to use. Because even like in the diagram, there's a chair for the lazy river, right? My understanding is they need to be up and walking, like Disneyland style, Disney World style, they gotta be moving. So they're gonna need a chair there. Other things, swim lessons, that's a big thing. Are we gonna find a way to accommodate that for families that might be future swimmers, right? We're like potentially gonna decimate our swim out of COVID. We're gonna lose a lot of people. And that's like a bearable cause for the long term, but just something for us to think about. I think that's all I got. Otherwise, I'll email Chris because I haven't.
Thanks,
Andy.
Yeah, and we hear what you're saying. I mean, believe me, we actually looked at, is there a way we could, shut the season down a little earlier, in the fall and work through and open it up sometime the following year. And we just don't think that was realistic. Do we think a year construction time? If you start early, you're starting in March of next year and complete before May opening in 27. We think that's very realistic. But again, we're gonna be working, getting a project manager involved, somebody who's been involved with construction of municipal pools, and that will guide the decision. That will all be part of any final approval that would come before city council.
Yeah, I mean, I know that some people hate this. I can use my hand too. I know that a lot of people hate the swim team, like because we use the pool all the time, and there's like 250 children running around, and you're like, please go home. But I also think like the appeal of swimming outside for like swimmers who are not year round, they only swim in the summer. They're not going to come to indoor swimming. Or some of them that are super competitive, you would meters or another one year round because you're already inside. So I think we're looking at the swim team, which just got rebuilt from COVID and is finally doing really well, going from like 200 plus swimmers to whoever we can get to stay. So a lot of people won't care about that, but it's a key part of the culture of the farms.
Yeah, and it is one that we are obviously concerned about. You know, we've built the culture to where it's at right now, and we've heard that same thing.
Yeah.
Ian, who's our swim coach, him and I have had probably more conversations on some of that, and even some of what Margie was asking. So all that is, it is a worry, it is a concern, and our goal is for that year is just to do our best to keep everybody engaged, keep them going. But it is something that we've talked about. It is something that's at the top of our list of concerns. And we're going to do our best to work through it.
Hi, Emily. I live at 193 Lakeview Avenue. Just a whole bunch of different points here, but overall, thank you all so much for all the time and effort that's gone into this plan. It's great. I'm not a native Grosse Pointer. I moved here from Pennsylvania. We moved here 8 years ago, and one of the things that sold us on farms was the amazing facility that is Pier Park. At a time where we're trying to attract more young families to move here to our district, I think it's a real miss to diminish the baby pool splash pad area. I have one daughter who I cannot pull her out of the pool. She absolutely loves to swim. She would be in the big pool all day long if I let her. My son, who's 4, has not stepped foot in a pool until this year, but he has grown up on the splash pad. I spent my maternity leave there with him in a stroller. The splash pad was a great little sound machine while his sister was in the baby pool. I fully support making the baby pool bigger, but I think it's real miss to lose the splash pad feature as well. My sisters both live in Ann Arbor. They bring their kids over here because they want to come to the Grosse Point Farm splash pad. We were just down there this past weekend and we've been out of town for a couple weeks. And noticed that, the decking is coming up, there's rubber spots that are missed, there's a bunch of algae, it kind of just looks neglected right now. And I think that might be one of the reasons why the numbers have not been as high, as you're doing recent tallies of usage. But my experience is that's a massive benefit to our community, and I think you're really missing out on the very young families who don't have kids who are water safe enough to be in a baby pool or even in the zero entry, but they're learning how to crawl, they're learning how to walk, and being on that splash pad is a really fun thing for them. It also is a peace of mind thing. Your kid's not going to drown on the splash pad. So it makes you feel a lot better that you're keeping your eye on multiple kids running around, but you're in a safe place where they're okay. I've also been to the pool many times where the baby pool is closed. And at least you've got the splash pad. Otherwise, you're kind of just stuck and you're like, what am I gonna do for the rest of the afternoon? Another point, as much shade as possible, as many tents, as many pavilions going around the baby pool area. The whole, fenced area between the parking lot and the pool, that could be a giant covered awning like we have now. But there's no parent of young kids who says, yeah, I want a spot in the sun. We all want them shaded as much as possible. I noticed on the renderings for the family locker room, there are only 2 toilets in there. I think that's gonna be a problem when you're thinking, if that's the access for the baby pool, and that's the age where every kid is being potty trained, you're gonna want more than 2 toilets, because sometimes it takes a while and sometimes they can't hold it. You might want a couple extra toilets there, it's gonna be better for everybody involved. And then one more thing, when the playground was done, I remember hearing conversations about the little kids playground, and it's a little tricky sometimes when you've got kids who want to be on the big one, but you have other kids who want to be on the little one. You're kind of split between the two. Where do I go? What kid am I, agreeing with and what kid am I disappointing? I also know it's a lot of effort to have to be at the pool and say, oh, it's lunchtime, let's pack up all of our stuff and go all the way over to the snack shack and you lose your spot at the pool or you're leaving your stuff unattended. Is there maybe a consideration for moving the snack shack and the baby playground, swapping spots where you could have maybe gated access from the pool deck to go into a snack area? And then the little kid playground would be within sight lines of the larger playgrounds. So you're kind of grouping like things. Just logistically, something that I think would be great. I know we don't want food at the pool deck, but it might help with flow and parents who are down there all day long. But otherwise, it's a phenomenal plan. And thank you everybody for all your time and effort that's gone into it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Liz Rowan. I live 363 Maroff, and I'm a big swimmer and I've used this space a lot. So I love kids in the swim team, but I'm a little getting kind of sick of getting kicked in the head when I swim around. So this is these are good ideas here. I am a little bit worried about bells and too many bells and whistles, and it's something that we saw in 2025, 10 years from now. But one of the things, just my thought, and I don't want it to be just about me, but it seems like the place where I sit is gonna go away, so I just wanna talk about that for a minute. So that beach area, when I was looking at the plans, it looked like you were gonna put in more shade, but it seems like maybe taking away that grassy area. So I wondered if you actually watched how people use that space, and if there might be an opportunity to kind of keep that next summer. I think that makes people happy, and we need really to make that fancier. I could be open to it, maybe you don't really use it stupid, and it could be better, but it does seem like that grassy space is a place people really use, and it's a natural gathering space. And I don't think we should there seems to be a lot of hardscape in this plan, and maybe less of that in my thoughts. So that's my thought about your plan. That aspect of the plan. But thank you.
Yes.
Well, thanks. My name is Ken Miller, 247 Kenwood Court. I kind of agree with the previous lady that it seems like we're losing all the benches that are kind of in the shade along the beach. And I mean, you got those couple of little tents or whatever there, but I'm not sure you're really going to have the same amount of sitting space where the people love to sit in the shade there. And watch the waves or watch their kids out on the beach, so. I think that's a bit of a concern. And a few other thoughts on the bathhouse. I didn't see any lockers in the bathhouse. Are there no lockers anymore? Is that, are they not used? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
they're not used, we have not, that was a big discussion
Not
and,
even a couple? No.
pardon?
Not even a couple?
Well, I mean, I guess that, we could look at that, and there was, I guess, there was some discussion actually about adding some cubbies out in the pool deck area itself, for people that, just wanna, be able to put things in view, and so that was more discussed, but currently, we find we're not getting utilization of the lockers.
Okay. And I hope you're planning on adequate ventilation in the locker rooms, because I mean, that's kind of what makes them so nasty now.
Well, there's no air right now, and so this will be, the HVAC system that will be bringing in air and ventilation to those. So I think that's your biggest issue is the humidity you get from.
Yeah. Okay. And are putting cedar shakes on the roof again? I don't know if that's
Most of the.
now it looks terrible, but I don't know.
Yeah.
They last a long time.
Well, they do, they last a certain amount of time, but it's expensive and they have to be replaced. Everything is at cedar. We like, there's a common look, and so that was incorporated. But there are also other materials that are, that I understand Da Vinci now has a faux cedar that we're gonna probably look at and see what those alternatives are.
Okay, or even a metal roof. I know those last forever, but, let's see, and the activities in game room, I mean, I remember when this place opened. And there's that second floor place, I'm not even sure where it is anymore, up there or something, it was open for a while. They found the kids would go up there and screw around, and now it's not used or utilized as far as I know. At all things, I'd hate to see us build something that's gonna not get utilized or get damaged like that room was initially.
Yeah, and that's a good point. So part of the reason, part of the reason, there was not originally, just designed this building to have a game room in there. We ended up at the end, came up with a way to review the trusses in a way that would add some additional space. And so we kind of have tried to use that. The problem is when we have rentals and other activities, the way the floor structure is, you hear everything. So this was kind of an idea, it was actually to bring in into the pool area, so this room here. So parents could be out here, kids could be in the game room, playing ping pong, doing something. It would be a concrete, surface, so you're not gonna have, the noise from, if it was up on the second floor. But it's something I think, I think that room was available, and we're kind of looking at what the best use would be. That was one of the ideas that was brought up that we thought would make sense, but we're obviously open to other ideas.
Okay. And maybe a pool designer needs to answer this, but, and maybe I'm just an old curmudgeon, but the utilization of this lazy river thing, I don't really understand it, and it seems like an expense that now the kids can't even throw a squish ball in the pool, and now we're gonna have inner tubes floating around in the pool and stuff in this thing. Can somebody explain what that does, or who we expect to use it? Is it adults that are gonna float around in this thing?
I think you're gonna see both. I think the idea is, as Sue had mentioned, you might set up a time for the use of the lazy river in the morning, where people who will use it will walk against the current. You bring the current and you're walking against it, so it's more of a therapeutic resistant type of a use. But then I think there were times when you'd want to have it where you're going with the flow of the lazy river. The pool architect that was involved in this, he did provide us some videos, which we didn't bring today, but showing other facilities where they've done it, and it's been extremely popular. So it was just, it was one of those things that, we thought added to the overall design.
Gotcha. Okay, just one other thing, if you, maybe, I forget if somebody else mentioned, I didn't quite hear. If you were to sell bricks or pavers or something to help raise money, I think that would be a great thing that a lot of people would take advantage of.
Great idea.
Yeah.
We did that at the dog park at, back in line.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. My name is Jason Sorensen, I'm at 342 Bellinger. Everyone's already touched on my concerns, but since I'm up here now, I'll reiterate on the baby pool and the splash pad. I have a 2-year-old, and I bring my family up here multiple times a week. And I think the baby pool has been open twice this whole summer, every time I come. So I don't even get to use it. So if you're gonna build a bigger one, that's great. But if we just get to look at it, my daughter's disappointed when I visit. Also the splash pad that's currently there is poorly maintained. There's holes in the ground, the water got broken off, some of the features don't even work. So, I mean, those are things to consider, like, if we're gonna build this thing, it needs to work and it needs to be usable. So,
Understood.
I don't wanna throw a bunch of money into something I can't use.
Okay. Thank you for the comments. And we obviously, with the pool, we have a liner that's failing at the existing pool. We know the surface of the splash pad is disintegrating. We did have some repairs done last year. One of those spots, I think we repaired, I think it was like $4,000 or $5,000.
$2,500.
Those repairs. So you're right, we have kind of, this year in anticipation that there might be a major renovation, we did have defrayed some of those maintenance issues. But in terms of, the pool being available, the top pool being available in guards, we need to address that and we will.
Hi, Williams, 166 Country Club Drive. I think the pool is awesome. The buildings are beautiful. I love the look of them. The competition pool is so sorely needed. Has to be 4 feet at the other end for flip turns. So I'm sure that's why they did it. And you still will have 3 or 4 swim lanes. And we have to be 25 meters because the little guys can't swim more than that. I mean, they barely can get across the pool now. And it's 30, like it's close to 30, right? Okay. It's awesome. I love it. Lazy River may get rid of that because you can't have a flotation device anyway in the pool because the lifeguards can't see the bottom of the pool. So maybe swap that for your splash pad thing. The other one was comment about swim teams being rebuilt up. That pool right there will keep people in swim team. 1 year swimming itself isn't gonna determine having a pool that the kids can dive, because we're at such a deficit without having diving box. So the kids, and honestly, the pool's only closed 2 to 3 times a year for a swim meet because they switch. Right, you're not at the park every week. So, okay. From a real estate standpoint and a realtor, having this complex will be amazing, and that would be a big draw for young families. And we want to address and draw more young families. And everybody who dogs on the lifeguards, you need to stop it. Because we would have more lifeguards if people weren't so horrible to them. The abuse they take is absurd. They're teenagers. My daughter comes home, stories of people cussing them out, adults cussing them out because this or that, this isn't open, something was a problem. Some of our people, not their problem. So people need to chill. And remember, if you were a lifeguard, not to be an a-hole. Because it gets, I can get it old.
Hi, I'm Lee Wojciechowski, 105 Handy Road. And unfortunately, I was here when the original pool was put in back in the day. And from what I remember was we tried to fit that pool in that area because they didn't want to spend any more on the changing room. And they only added about, I don't know, 600 or 800 feet to the end of the current changing rooms right now. And my thought process, is, and then after that, them cramming the pool into this area, they added all of that property to the north of us where we added the tennis courts, et cetera, et cetera. And my thought process, and this is just my thought, is we're all focused on this one little area. We're completely changing everything. We're not saving anything that's currently existing. So why are we not looking at that old 40 acres that we added in the 70s and built a new complex out there, and then come back and readdress this area and put it back to the grassy area that was by the beach, and maybe turn the old changing room back to the way it was in the 50s. That's all I have to say. I just didn't know if it was a consideration of moving it out of this area. I don't see any reason of keeping it in this area.
I grew up on Kyle Sander, 347 Bellinger. First and foremost, thank you guys for all the hard work you've all done. I appreciate it. I know there's a lot of community output, a lot of different ideas, a lot of different opinions. I know Shane and Chris have heard plenty from me about those opinions. First, we talked about one thing that you mentioned that I think you should reconsider is when you look at that reciprocity of the parks and whichever, next summer, whichever it is, when you start to, divide by address of a odd versus even. Jason, that was just here in front of me, he's 342, I'm 347. If our children are buddies, all of a sudden, you're eliminating opportunity for those kids that are already playing in a pool, and not thinking about the families and the actual addresses. So that's just a thought that came up as you guys were talking. As I look at this, I think it appears that you guys are trying to accommodate everyone and almost falling short for everyone as well in different areas, different capacities, from listening to the community topics, and opinions of, the swimmers, the older population, the younger population. The lazy river appears to be more of a novelty to me. It's something that's kind of like bright and shiny, but what's the long-term viability of it? And what's the expense to run it? I mean, people have made the topic of the splash pad or other areas of our pool. You see the mechanics working in the pump houses all the time. How often is this going to be broken? And what's the expertise in repairing it with our staff that we already have? The area that I'm most passionate about is the splash pad being removed from within the pool, fenced in pool area. As I was even stepping in line, a girl that I grew up with, she asked if that's what I was going to address because she had to go home to, she was a newborn and another child. My 5-year-old learned to walk on a splash pad, just learned to jump off the diving board about 2 weeks ago. The staffing has been an issue all summer. It's gotten worse as we go to college. I was a lifeguard. I went to college. I remember the quiet days at the tail end of August. But the diving board and or the baby pool, it seems like have always been a this or that the entirety of the summer. So when you're looking at staffing, when you're thinking about this pool, for the most part of this existing renderings, I don't see a single rendering that has where those lifeguard stands are going and the thought and the forethought of the lifeguards and what our staffing has been. I'm fortunate that I spend every day here basically with my, as a kid my mom, left from here to go to the hospital. I was born, I was back there 3 days later. I was the youngest of 4 boys. I was known as a park rat. My kid now is known as a park rat. Michelle sitting back there was my boss at one point. I've lived here and I still live here. And I watch how the children use the space, and it's not this or that also. It's the baby pool. It's then the big pool. It's then the diving well. It's then the splash pad. And so when you start to think of the actual user of these children, the water feature, that looks more pretty to me than anything else. It doesn't seem extremely functional. It seems like a nice little, moment to walk into the pool, which the walking is beautiful. You did a lovely job. I hope whatever comes of it looks more like her rendering than yours. No offense, Chris. There's a prettier. It's beautiful, but I think we're looking a lot at the beauty and in some instances not thinking about the functionality. So for me, the splash that I really would like to see come back to the topic, and I'd like to see it, by and large with that baby pool. Timeline is curious to me as well. You mentioned it takes about 8 months is what you've been told. Obviously, there's doubt of that from the other community members. And I don't see why we're not targeting starting when it's the day after the pool closes. We're missing months there, and for a community, we're losing out on that time as well. And that's concerning to me too.
do apologize to ask. Come here for the second time, but just want to let the very nice lady know that they don't close the pool once every week, they close it every day from 3 to 6:30.
And now you'll get the rest of the other pool because somebody.
Hopefully, Mr. Shane.
The only close the part of the pool that has the swimming section.
But Cam, just remember too, and when we do close that pool during the 3 to 6 time that you keep referring to, there's always 2 lanes that are left open for lap swimmers. So so I just want to make sure you're aware of that. And then those other 3 lanes, we could also implement for lap swimming during the time that practices are occurring.
Good. But when you said there were 2 laps open, several times it happened that there were several people who wanted to swim. And when we swim.
Cam, I'm on that deck almost every single day for practices. 2 lanes have always been open for swimmers to swim in that.
Okay.
This design will then give 3 other lanes on the leisure pool.
When you leave 2 lanes open, most of the time there is only 1 lane open. But when you leave 2 lanes open, when people, several people swim on those laps, unintentionally they touch each other. And then several times they become that, oh, sir.
We won't get into that on that topic of it, but I just.
And then they tell me that they don't believe you, they believe the lady because she's a woman.
Yeah.
What?
We're gonna leave that one alone. We're just gonna talk about the project, please.
My question is, do you mind if I ask, what do you need instead of this, could you add 2 more lanes? Instead of this, add 2 more lanes, and add 1 more here. Get rid of this and add.
So you're saying you'd like to see more swim lanes?
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Becky Burton, 291 Terrain. I think tons of work, as everybody has said. 2 concerns, the Lacey Rivers people are saying it will be a nightmare for lifeguards. And absolutely, I was a lifeguard back when we didn't have things like this. I mean, it'll be a nightmare. If we have nightmares everywhere else, this is gonna be really bad for that. We could give some more space into the pool that the families use rather than just lane swimming. And my other concern is, wheelchair access and stroller access. Going through a locker room with 2 doors, with a stroller, especially for a grandparent, with stroller and 1 or 2 toddlers on your side it's terrible. And I don't see how that would work with a wheelchair either, going through a locker room. Is there a way to have wheelchair and stroller access into the pool without having to go through the locker rooms?
I think that's a health code
That's-
issue. I think we'd have to look at that.
Well, what about CCD? You don't go through a locker room to go to their pool.
I don't- I don't know what CCD's policies are, but
I'm just saying.
the state of Michigan Health Code requires us that everybody has to enter in the bathhouse from the locker room. Whether they shower or not, that's
Okay.
beside the point, but the
Okay.
purpose is that everybody is supposed to shower before they go into the pool. But
That
yeah,
must be for public versus private then, because I know a lot more.
it's
is the same
possible,
way.
it's possible. I don't want to speak on that because I don't know.
Well, even coming out, we used to be able to use there was a gate by the turnstile coming out with a stroller, and this year we weren't able to, so something I think should be looked into, especially with wheelchairs.
For sure. Yep, thank you.
Hello, my name is Tom Koba and I live at 479 Allard Road. And I just had 2 design elements that I saw up there that the Blake Company brought up, and that was in the design of the locker rooms. They had 2 things which were unusual for this type of pool. They had changing rooms with doors on them, and it looked like they had 3 separate changing rooms. And it was very hard to tell from the scale of the drawing if those were for individual families or if there was for multiple people. But it's very unusual to have separate rooms in a changing area, just from a. Well, there's many pools and there's safety reasons and family reasons. So that was an unusual design feature. And the other unusual design feature that I noticed was the total lack of locker rooms. Or lockers. There are virtually, no pools in the world that don't have lockers. The purpose of lockers is to secure your possessions while you're swimming in a pool. And that's why every single pool in the world has locker rooms. has lockers. So, those are just unusual design features. I mean, we're not here to design it and to do stuff like that, but I just want to point out those are unusual design features that you guys should be aware of, like they felt that maybe should be addressed in the additional design pages. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Joe Sapati, 273 Belfry. Amazing job.
Joe, 273, I'm sorry, 273 Beaupre?
Yes.
Thank you.
I understand all the efforts it takes to put this together from all aspects. If I can recap, from what I understand, the biggest concern here tonight is concerned with the lazy river, the splash pad area and shade. I think our current pool is functional. I don't see any reason to jump into something and try to get construction in by March. If we punt it for another season, put a little more effort into it. The heck, if 12 million doesn't do it, maybe it's 15. Like,
Yeah, definitely. This is a project that, doesn't have to be rushed, and, we definitely want to look at, all aspects. So we want to make sure it's planned out properly, people know how it's planned and what to expect.
Joe, what was your last name? I'm sorry.
Sapati.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Margaret Walter. And I was struck by the person talking about loss of space in the being the recreational area that's playing around and not that, or the shortness of the 3 lap lanes there. If you got rid of the lazy river, you can fix both those problems by making that pool on the right side wider, so the 3 lap lanes could be longer and there could be a wider, bigger space for people standing around. And the lap lanes now, I think, don't get used as much as they would. I do the senior swim on Saturday mornings, but right now the lap lanes are, you got the ladders and the steps there on the one side, the ladder's sort of in the way. And kids are always cutting across and jumping in, and the lifeguards don't really stop non-swimmers to get in the lap lanes, and more people would usually if they were maybe a little wider or longer or better police there. I mean, there's reasons people don't like them that much now because other swimmers cut across, people cut across to the ladders. And you feel almost guilty sometimes, that especially before when they originally had lap lanes during the swim team kids would be in the lanes anyway, so then you're the big older that's kicking them out, so there's reasons, it's not, which is why I would prefer they let the rest of us into the what you call the competition pool when competitions aren't going on.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
Walter, what's your address, please?
Thank you.
261 Ridgemont.
Thank you.
They have a frustrated retiree that would like to get to swim more during the day.
Yeah, I have not heard a lot of people speak out in favor of the lazy river. Are there people who feel that's a really important element? I haven't heard that.
I'd like longer lanes for those 3, that, yeah. 3 yards.
And it's like.
Yeah.
What?
It's 40 Willard, it's 43 Deming Lane. I agree, I think those 3 recreational lanes should be 25 meters. I think it'll solve a lot of your problems. And then the other issue I have is that I swim every day, almost 365 days a year. And I know that global warming is coming and the pool was warm this summer because of the hot weather. Is the cooling system going to have, is the heating and cooling system going to have a cooling system? Part of it?
I'm sorry, are you talking about the pool?
Cooling system for the pool?
No,
No, we have not discussed that.
we have not discussed that.
Something
Absolutely.
to think
We can
about.
discuss that.
Yeah.
Down south, pools do have a cooling system, and there were times when the pool was very warm. And the other thing was the footings for a possible structure over the competition area. Is it cheaper for us to lay footings for that area now, when we're building the construction, if we possibly want to enclose that area at the point of beginning versus later, putting them in, that's something I would think we should consider as well. And I also agree, I'd like to see those 3 lanes. As an older swimmer now, it's more difficult to turn around. You don't want a pool that is shorter. You want a pool that is longer.
Thank you.
Thanks, Patty. Ann Miller, 247 Kenwood Court. This has been a huge investment of time from all of you and, Chris. And everyone here can tell how much has been put into it. And my only question is, because I was also at the pickleball meeting, and there was a lot of voicing about losing the 3rd court, tennis court, because it's still a varsity sport and an Olympic sport. And we had lots of people saying lots of things like we've heard tonight with regard to the lazy river and the loss of the very, very sad thought of losing that splash pad. But you heard a lot of people at the last meeting and it was a done deal. And I understand the investment that you guys have sunk in all the architectural and the landscape and the time everyone's put into it. So the only question I have is this just for us to say what we think, or is this truly, is this a truly open forum where you're gonna listen to and I think at the last meeting about the pickleball, it was like, how many people want to keep the 3rd court? And it was about 8:30, 9 o'clock. And there were 4 people left, and so 3 out of the 4 raised their hand and they wanted to keep the 3rd court. So I'm feeling a deja vu reminiscent that nothing's gonna change here. So I'd love to hear that there is an opportunity here.
There definitely is an opportunity. I want to say that right now.
Thank you.
Because,
Thanks.
and even with, the last project, if you look at the Playscape project in the original, when we had this meeting in this room, there were several suggestions, that we add the dome for people who have sensory issues. We added that. There was,
Okay,
we
great.
made something, and even the pickleball court, if you remember, that we had.
There were 4 options.
We actually pushed it back and to open up more green space, brought down fencing, so there was some changes that were made as a result of that meeting, I want to point out.
Excellent, excellent.
Okay,
They're
thank you.
beautiful. Thank you.
And we want to, and this has been helpful for us, so we are listening, we're gonna take this information back. We're gonna share it with the pool committee and we'll proceed.
Sure.
Again, this was not the final end.
Excellent.
It will go through a process, so
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Yeah, rest assured, this is not an exercise to be an exercise. Absolutely not, absolutely not. With regard to pickleball, as many people who wanted the 3rd court, there were 200 more who said, why are you building pickleball? You're ruining our view, you're ruining our picnic table. We think it's a huge hit right now, but this is not an exercise in futility. Believe me, we read everyone loud and clear, as we do for every issue. Yeah.
All right, Andy.
And here from 306 Fisher, everybody's talking about the pool climate, no one's talking about mechanicals. And this is a pretty complex system. Can you explain a little about the mechanics of running all these 3 different systems and maintenance? Because I heard a lot about concerns right now about some of the things breaking down. So this is all new equipment, is that correct?
Yeah, so the idea, we had looked at some of the existing equipment, which dates back to the 1960s. And so we had a company, Berzini Aquatics, kind of were our consultant on the mechanical and building. So that's what was used to design this building. You can actually even see in the rendering some of the mechanical that would be used. I don't have that expertise. I think we'll have somebody, when we get to that point, explain, how it's divided, but the idea would be to have 3 separate units for, the top pool, the recreation pool, and the competitive pool. They would be under 3 separate systems.
Yeah, we live in a different environment now because of COVID. I'm thinking about, traditionally putting chlorine or new thoughts about how we purify the pool, keep the pool clean.
Chlorine is still your best option.
Yeah.
Obviously some pools have gone with the saltwater, pools, you hear about that. That's something that we've looked at, but because of the public nature of it and the use, the recommendation.
Salt causes corrosion, too, with salt, so. Okay, thank you so much. You guys have worked really hard at this. I can see, I really appreciate all the effort. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
You can just hand it back, Andy. There you go. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Mary Carter. I live at 212 Ridgemont Road. I'm a mom of 3 past lifeguards at City Park. I can tell you that you're gonna get through this construction because City Park pool and bathhouse was completely rebuilt. And it got done in really good time. One of my questions is, in the guard shack, is it gonna have its own, like toilet and stuff for the guard? Or do they have to walk all the way across?
The intent will be to have their bathroom
They're
facility.
not. Okay, so that's also currently. Also, when there's an emergency, how is it handled? Like if an ambulance had to come for the people, where do they come through?
Typically right now, we have
That gate?
that's the gate here.
Okay.
And right where the guard in the first aid area would be.
Yeah. Okay, so the communication is really good to the farms police that if it's the pool, they go there, and if it's.
And the interior,
Anywhere else,
they go to the interior, if it's in, if it's in the harbor, they go to the harbor.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Being a mom of past lifeguards, I wanted to know, are there classes still offered through Rose Point Public School System in the winter for kids to take lifeguard training?
Yeah.
And do they get a credit or something for that, or is there any incentive that makes kids want to be lifeguards?
I can't speak on credit. I know that they do still offer it. And when we were going through our hardships of getting lifeguards, we also, as the city, took the initiative to pay for the training for them.
Okay.
So that is something that we've done in the past. I think one mom made it pretty clear too, is I think a lot of it comes down to, and I talked to another mom this morning, that a lot of it is these kids love to do this. They enjoy it. I've had kids that, and Michelle's in the back that oversees the lifeguards, but we most recently changed it to 15 years old to hire lifeguards. Before it was 16. So we're going through a stretcher where we've had lifeguards since they were 15 till now they're almost 17, 18, going away to college. So they obviously love doing it. I think a lot of it comes down to the way that they're treated, the way that, they're interacted with, a concerted effort to work with them and, again, thank them a little bit goes a long way. But I think a lot of them love it because it's a great summer job. Being out in the pool, being out, with friends, a lot of them are classmates.
What's the incentive, are there any incentives for them to want to be a guard and stay a guard and be a good guard?
Are you saying it from a city standpoint or for their standpoint?
Like a free meal at the snack bar, or?
Yep, they get a discount at the snack bar. So the snack bar is open to that. They've done it even pre the person who's there currently, so they do get a discount there. I know
What if someone, gets the kid's name and says, hey, Jimmy was a really great help to me today. And then that gets back to you guys somehow, and then,
Yeah, some of those incentive programs would be a great idea. I know Michelle, Michelle does it where she'll buy them pizzas and she'll buy, do that kind of stuff for them as well. So yeah, definitely some of that is what we're gonna have to think about as well moving forward when they come back too, so.
I wanted to voice my opinion on the gaming room. I don't think it's necessary at all for the kids. There's so much stuff for these kids to do here already that I just feel that should be more of an adult or room to rent for parties and stuff where it's supervised and they're not just running around trashing places. I'm not for that, whatever that thing is called,
Lazy River?
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be here. I think it's kind of a big gimmicky thing, and I think if people would, it's really cool, but I think it would be extremely hard to provide secure lifeguarding for that. And if you did, I would suggest more lifeguard chairs. And then we've already got a shortage of lifeguards. How are you gonna do that? So, and that's it. I want to tell you though, most of the lifeguards that were with my kids at City Park, there's a trend that most lifeguards, they could become like really responsible adults. They get really good jobs. They are just responsible people. And kids get so much out of this that I just hope there's some kind of incentive or something that can really entice kids to be a guard and stick with it. And I think they all do a really good job as long as they're treated right.
100%.
Thank you for your time. I really love what you guys have done and all the work that's been put into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Rick Schmidt, 317 Kirby. Just curious about the bathroom situation. It seemed like they all were kind of smallerist so that there could be three. And I just kind of wondered if you just made two of them and made both of them bigger and do more for family situations. Maybe even a door between the family one and the ladies' room. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm not trying to be pejorative and say only women take their kids to the pool, because I know the men do too. And right now they kind of bring them into both. So I'm not against the family thing. Maybe make that a lot smaller, make the men's and women's bigger. It's a great idea, but I think somehow the other two are getting compromised for the one idea. So whatever that's worth. And then from a summary standpoint, if this was made to be the 25 meters that it seems everybody wants it to be, and you got rid of this and just squared this out, this could be a little bigger. So you have a bigger area for the kids in the 4, 5, 6, 10 range to play in. This gets longer for everybody and maybe even add a fourth lane. So now there's 4 lanes. I think you could redo this pool in such a way, it would be much simpler without all the curves and all the mechanicals and all that stuff. So it's from what I've heard from everybody else, it seems like this could be done better to make that bigger. Splash pad here, pool over there, make everybody happy with a splash pad, and you're looking like you're listening to us. That's what we're talking about. All right, and to that end, keep that in. I think the tennis court thing got resolved kind of okay. I mean, some people are still mad there's not 3 versus 2, I get that. But it looks great, and it's okay, you can still see the water, and it turned out, you know, that it's okay. There wasn't a second meeting after that, it just kind of went on its way. So from all the different comments we've heard today, and there's a lot of money tied into this, I think there should be a second meeting that takes into account everything you've heard and represent it to us again. Thank you.
Or no?
Thanks
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, we are hearing that. So that's again, this has been helpful and we appreciate it. There has been a lot of discussion about the bathrooms, believe me, and that was a big topic of discussion. We were looking, and the pool committee had a lot of discussion on that. And we did look at talking to the other parks, we went to Grosse Pointe Park and looked at their family changing room, which is heavily utilized. Probably used by more females than men, and it's probably true. And that to the point where somebody said, it could be, more female bathrooms or.
Right.
At least there's gonna be probably some shared use. You're gonna see some, you're gonna see a lot of people we use in those family bathrooms as well as the men's, women. So, and same with the changing area. We did not originally have separate areas for changing, and that was brought out that, sometimes people, they come from the pool, they take a shower, they're gonna put on their clothes, that they have to go to a dance class, they have to go pick up their kid from whatever the situation, and so those rooms are being utilized in the other parks, and they felt that adds definitely value. Again, the overall number of fixtures is very similar to what we have. It's distributed differently. And frankly, I think right now, we probably have more than we need. If you look at the usage and our demographics, our population now, compared to when it was built 60 years ago. But anyhow, all right, go ahead.
I'll keep this brief. Thanks, Rick. Richard Smith, 32 Edgemere. Was it Patty? Is that right? No, I'm sorry. Ann, Rich, nice to meet you. I'm on the Parks and Harbor Committee. One thing that I've been a very big proponent of is not losing the splash pad. I have a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 6-month-old. So that is their primary area. You know, I want you to know that one thing that I was concerned about when joining this committee was that my voice would not be heard and that nothing that we would say would matter. Beth set those expectations with us that it would be, and so did John, very, very early, that our recommendations are to be taken, and we are taking everything that you guys say into account. You know, one thing that wasn't said here tonight, that I think is potentially an opportunity, right? Shane will never say never, and nobody has mentioned the top lot, but it seems like a lot of problems could be solved by getting rid of the lazy river, potentially moving into the top lot a bit, expanding, using the, I think it was, you know, the budgetary, for the lazy river, because that's what I've gotten a lot of. I've shown this to a lot of friends. They're like, what is the point of the lazy river? Like that's, honestly, that's what we've got. What I've been getting, I said, well, you know, it's a current pool and it's for the seniors and the kids, and then they bring up the tube perspective, that you can't have tubes in there, right? Even though the rendering showed that there were people on floats. I sent it to a couple people here, like, you can't do that. Anyway, that's just my thought, and I just want you guys to know, with the skeleton crew that's still here, that the Parks and Harbor Committee does take everything you say into account. Everybody up here takes it very seriously, and I agree with you, Rick, that probably a second meeting needs to be had to go over all of the information that's gone over here tonight. So thank you.
Can I just say something about the family bathroom? The reason you need it is because parents have multi-sex kids. And when you're bringing a 7-year-old boy to the girls' bathroom and he goes to school with the girls that are running around naked, which I've experienced it, and like my daughter's like, oh my God, it's my class, because the mom can't send a 7-year-old to the men's bathroom by himself. So that's what it is.
Yeah, awkward for, a father to bring their young daughter.
Oh, there's closed doors. I got you.
Yeah, it would be very traumatic, but yeah.
The first, like, all down for swim and there's like, what,
No, no.
like.
Yeah, the family bathrooms are, we're seeing, those are being heavily used in other departments.
We're past it. Now we're on.
Before anybody leaves, I forgot to recognize a few people from the city are here, and I'm embarrassed. Derek Kozicki is our assistant city manager and city clerk is on some. Michelle Eichhorst, who is responsible with the rest for the operation of the park, is in back as well, sitting on the. Another great employee, Tim Rowland, our director of finance, is in the back as well. I apologize to each of you for not recognizing you earlier.
Good, I think that's what this is your pro tem city council person. This is enormously helpful. Absolutely wonderful. The turnout, and I know we have a skeleton crew here right now, but believe me, I just echo what you said, is that we will really take heed what you have to say. My opinions of what I thought was an outstanding concept have been altered because of this meeting. So thank you, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We do have some renderings, and if you want to look at close, feel free to come up. If you have any questions, something you want to ask, that you want to ask publicly, feel free to come up at the meeting time. Thank you.
Great job. Oh, okay, okay. Okay, yeah.
I'm Lynn Williams.
How's your day?
Great, no.
How did you do that?
No, I did surprisingly well. Yeah, but I have to say, like, it's hard.